I'm gonna go live. And still gonna post. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, going on. We are live. Now I'm gonna go and do my magic. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm doing my technical magic here, sharing in different locations. Say hello. As you come in. Oh, I remember something. Oh, Carol, you need to make the post public first. And hopefully I don't have to reshare it again. Let's see. I can see. Hello and welcome. Let me know if you are here. So that excited to be here with my beautiful friend Tami. Yep, and then now. Okay, see you again. There you go. Oh, technology, beautiful technology. We love technology. Hello, Amy, and welcome. Okay, so I am Carol Soto, and I am the co-owner of Love, Healing, and More, and the source, universe, God gave me the idea to start bringing topics to the collective, and who finds these videos. And one that came forward was to talk about sources, especially dark forces. And we're going to talk a little bit about what it is and what it is not. And I have invited Tami because I am quite aware that she is also having counter experience and she has really good experience that she can share. So today we're going to talk about sources and dark forces. The intention behind this talk is just to bring awareness. We do not want to inflict any kind of fear. Every time that the word dark forces or beings or demons come to anyone's awareness, a sense of fear comes in. Our intention is not to bring fear. It comes from a place of love, because everything that we do, it comes from a place of love, and it is pure awareness. Pure awareness. So, why we are talking about this topic, the reason is that you need to be aware. Because if you are going to embark a spiritual journey, you are going to encounter with sources that does not come from love. And we would like to share our experience, and we would like to share tips and tricks about that. So we are not going to go over a lot about the different terminologies or the different races or the different type of doors or dark horses. We're going to keep it general, and it's more about bringing the awareness that they exist. And the discernment is important, especially when you start channeling, when you start working with souls and beings, that you're doing your own healing, that you're doing healing from others, or you're basically just channeling information. So, welcome, Tami. I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, thank you.
Anything that you would like to add about that?
No, you did very well covering it. Yes.
So we have Amy saying, I have definitely experienced those things. So grateful that I know how to deal with them. Yes. So it is important to know how to deal with it. Um, so what are dark forces? So their source, they can be souls, so they can be beings. Souls are those that have a soul, and being does not have a soul. That's the definition between a soul and a being. Then they can be deceased souls, and they can be from Earth or can be out of Earth. It's the same thing for the beings. They can be from elemental, so they can be from any other realm. They can be from any other source, planets, even dimensions. So we both have encountered and experienced these beautiful magical souls and beings that play a role of inflicting fear, inflicting pain, inflicting thoughts, to lower your vibration. Um, the way the dark forces and the beings operate is they want your energy. They want your physical energy and they want your spiritual energy. And some of them will like to inflict pain, fear, to even make you feel that you are not connected with source, God, the universe, however you want to identify it. They want you to feel that you are disconnected, that you are not connected to God, source, the divine. So, Tami, share with us some of those experiences that you have encountered with this
Okay.
beautiful souls
Well,
and beings.
I will just share that firstly, I'm a medium, and what I do is I cross over earthbound souls into the light. So just to preface, in my classification, there are two different kinds of earthbound souls. There are those that only require an increase in their vibration to cross over. And then there are the darker earthbound souls that require healing only if they want it in order to cross over. Most do not want it. They come in to cause fear. Fear is their sustenance, but they also want our energy. They want our light. We spiritual beings, mediums especially, have this divine inner light that shines in the dark realms. It's like a beacon. It's like a moth. They get drawn in like moths to a flame. So they come in. They want that light. They want that energy. They come in with the intention to create fear. And some of these earthbounds can be pretty nasty. I have had experiences a few times, not a whole lot, a few times with, and maybe some of you can identify with this. When are you most vulnerable? You're most vulnerable when you're sleeping, right? So I have had, and it's not that I was woken up by it. I wasn't woken up by it, but I was subconsciously aware of what was happening. So my clairvoyance had kicked in, and I would feel myself being pinned down in the bed. Can't move, can't speak. It's a little disconcerting, but I knew exactly instantly what was happening. And these souls, You can communicate with them verbally, but mostly it's telepathically. They can read your thoughts. So I just automatically said, I love source, and boom, gone, instantaneously gone. So they can do that kind of stuff. They like to get your attention. How do they create fear? Knocking on the walls, banging on the walls, lights flickering, doors opening. They can do a myriad of things to try to create fear. Protection is paramount, especially for mediums and people along this path. Protection is paramount. For me, my highest protection is source light. Calling source light and clear ground, protect. You can't stress that, Carol. You stress it all the time, and you cannot stress it enough. Clear ground, protect. Otherwise, is it possible for these entities to attach to your aura and create this fear? They can inflate your emotions, especially your negative emotions. They can, affect your mental emotion, your mental body, your physical body, your emotional body. Clear ground, protect.
Yes,
Paramount.
I always talk about clearing, grounding, protecting. And especially when you're going through emotional roller coaster, when you're doing your own healing, anytime that you have an argument or you feel frustration, it is important to pause, clear, ground, and protect. Lately, I have been protecting myself before going to bed. As you mentioned, that we are more vulnerable when we go to sleep. So my practice has shifted now that I'm doing my protection just exactly before going to bed. And I love that you brought the nightmares. Yes, some of the nightmares is being inflicted by outside sources. And I think that the one that I like to talk and share the most is, as you mentioned about being pinned in the bed. I remember having a dream that I was like pick up off my bed and I was pinned to the wall. And I just said, Archangel Michael. And in a blink of an eye, I was back in my bed and it was peaceful and everything, it was in calm. So another way that you can use protection is calling your angels and your archangels.
Yes.
And Archangel Michael is the best for protection because it's the protector angel, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I do clearing, grounding, and protecting, Carol, just because of what I do with crossing over souls every morning. If I feel like, even if I'm at work, if I feel that there is a shift and there's something around, I'll do it then. And definitely every night before I go to bed, because just for example, last week I was calling in protection, doing my clearing, and just before I was bringing in source light protection, I had a woman on one side say hello. And just as I was finishing, I had a gentleman on this side say goodbye. And then I had my protection in, and then it was all gone. It was all done. But yeah, important.
Extremely important. It's so that's in a earthbound, meaning the souls that decided to stay behind.
Right.
But there is more
Oh,
of
yes.
this source. So if you have any questions about what we just discussed, please put it in the comment. We are more than willing and welcome to answer your questions. So on that level, you have those that decided to stay behind. And the longer they are here in Earth, the darker they become because they are fully disconnected from Source, the universe, God. So you can see that they become more darker and darker and darker. But I also, it's coming to mind right now that I do understand this is for medium, but also for empath.
Oh, yes.
Why? Because the state of that spirit will affect you. So if you are taking energy, especially that is not yours, you may pick up their energy, their angry, their frustration, their what they're dealing with, or the energy they have been embodying men, right? If, like, for example, they were an alcoholic, right? Or they were having mental issues. Like, you can pick up all those energy, and if you don't know that you are picking it up for something else, you can assume that it's yours. So this is a reason why also you should protect, protect, protect. So we have Victor saying, what about physical people who are influenced by dark forces creating attacks in different way to affect your vibration? Yes, and I was planning to talk about that. As human beings, we can also be a dark force. And how we can be a dark force when we envy, when we are truly frustrated on someone, consciously and sometimes unconsciously, we send attachments. We send curses, we create negative energies, cords that we start feeding from the energy of the other person. Also, when you're dealing with an empath and the narcissist, right? The narcissist assume a role of a energy vampire, which is start taking that light from you, and from the victim, whoever that is, right? Normally it's an empath and a narcissist. So you can see that also from that perspective. So good point, Victor, good point. So, Tami, share with us outside of the earthbound, other sources that can affect us.
Well, I am also a star seed. I'm an Arcturian star seed. There are, um, you know, extraterrestrial races that that get involved in this dark and light war that there is. You have various. I mean, there are various different races. Too many to certainly state, but the races that get the most have the most, the biggest reputation for being part of the dark forces as far as ETs are concerned are, the reptilians and the greys.
Yes,
So
this is a terminology we hear a lot about being a part of the reptilians race. For the audience, if you have never heard about different races, there are more than human. Hello! So there are Pleiadians, there are Arcturians, there is people from Lyra, there is from Ceres, there is a lot of different races. And again, this is not the conversation for it. But my feeling and my experience is that we have both, that every race out there has the ones that are connected with source and come from a place of love, and those that are disconnected from source and come from a place of fear, or want to inflict fear. And so my experience with beings is that they would like to attach to us because they would like to have our light, in a physical way and also in a spiritual way. And there's different of them. One of my experience was with a shifter one time. And a second time I had, I wrote it down. It's a twisters that they treat you. Um, please know that if you have any attachment, if you have any souls and being, and some people call this interference. So this is another term that you can hear from a spirituality perspective. The reason is there is always a root cause of why they be able to attach. There is always a reason why they're inflicting the fear or why your energy got low. But the twister was really interesting to me because there was a lesson and there was a learning for me in that particular challenge and that particular opportunity. This happened 2 years ago. It was around November. The reason why I was able to attach is because my whole entire being, each of my layers and everything, it was like completely done with my day job. And I didn't want to do my day job absolutely longer. So he was able to connect with me through another another human being that I was working with. I was doing a healing for her, and it was like, oh, new energy, oh, beautiful. So he was able to connect. I spent 5 days fighting with him until I learned that I keep forgetting the energetic core. So even that I was healing the reason why, and then I was detaching and removing him because he left an energetic core, he kept coming back. So it took me 5 days, one, to learn that, and then number two, after I learned it, it was gone and it was able to be able to completely remove it. Beautiful.
I've had an attachment. My husband has mediumistic abilities as well, but he operates out of a place of fear. So he gets a lot of the darker energies that come in. And if I'm talking to him on the phone, he and this energy, he will see, literally, he will see shadow figures. And even if he's talking to me on the phone, he does not have to be physically present with me. They come to me because my light is brighter than his. Oh, well, let's go over there. Yes. I have had one experience specifically with that. I had spoken to him one night on the phone, and I knew as soon as he told me, I had a chill up my back, up the back of my head. I said, okay. I went to bed that night. I walked past my dark living room, got the chills up my back, up my head. Said, okay. I let it go for a minute, went to bed. It was in the summertime and it was really hot. I had my ceiling fan on. I'm laying there trying to cool off. All of a sudden, I'm watching, my eyes dart open. I'm watching my ceiling fan automatically, it just shut off. It just shut off. I said, okay, let's go. Get up, turn the light on. Okay, I know you're here. You're not allowed to be here. I forbid you to be here. I go through my whole clearing, my protection, and I cast it out. But yeah, they can come from anywhere.
Yep, they can come from any. What I've been interesting. Ooh, I saw a whole thing in there. Okay, so something interesting that is being happening that I have experienced is that me going out and about, right? And they following me. Like, oh, that shiny little girl, let's follow her. But they're not allowed to come to my home because my home is always protected. And if something happened that protection is not there, I be able to sense it and whoop, like you said, pass out. Um, but before we get more into it, um, the key components of this is number one, awareness. Aware that there is souls and being that does not come from love and does not have a good intention. So it is up to us to number one, sense of what's the real intention. And that will take a little bit of practice and you being in tune with your own energy, but also asking questions. When we come into channel, when we come in of receiving energy from souls and being, the first thing you need to ask is, who are you? Unmask, right? And they should unmask and they should be revealed yourself. If you still sense, no, anything is not right, ask again, unmask. And the second time, they must mask, especially the three-stars energy, or the shapeshifter. They love to play games, and sometimes they can shift and give you a different energy or a different look or a different perspective. But you will know deep in your soul, if you're truly connected, that you're not connected to a good source, and then you should disconnect yourself and cast them out. Get it out of your energy field, get it out of your home, by just asking. You have the power to send them out. Anything else that you would like to add, Tami?
Not for that.
Yes, so I have a few comments. So share best way to protect you for those energy. Yes, we can share protection. As Tami mentioned, the best way is you connect with source. Set the intention you're connected with source. Just by saying it out loud, just by thinking it, just by intended, you're already connected with source, God, who, whatever you identify yourself. And then imagine or intend for source energy to just calm down, and you put a bubble of protection around you. You can also use ultraviolet fire that you can put a bubble of protection. You can also use crystals that you can call energetically the crystals. Like, for example, you can call black obsidian, you can call black tourmaline, and imagine it that it's around you. Now, I love to add more to it. So I ask for divine source energy to protect me from everything that could harm me, wants to harm me, wish to harm me, and want to harm me. So I cover all of it. And then I set the intention that before it comes to me, it transmutes to instantly to love and light. So those are kind of my way of doing protection, but there is different way to doing protection. Tami, do you have a different way to protect yourself?
I just call in divine source light. I run it down through my energetic system, down through all of my chakras, and circle it back up around to create a sphere of source light protection. But considering what I do, I do this for each of my animals. I do it for my home. I do it for my entire property. At least 2 or 3 times a day, certainly at least in the morning and before I go to bed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also do it for my home, for my land, for my animals. I do it for my husband, for my child.
Yeah.
Even in our cars, like I
Yes.
also put the bubble around the card.
Yes.
The other part that I also do is when I know people are going to come to my home, I install waterfall, and I call it waterfall. You can put a bubble, you can do whatever you want, but I like the waterfall because when there's a waterfall, it does not matter how you try to skip the water, you always gonna hit the water in a waterfall, right? So I install it in there. Number one, if they would like healing, they're welcome to receive the healing. But my bigger intent is everything that does not serve the highest good stays out of my home. It is not allowed to come. And the reason why is that when we are asleep, when even we are awakened, we are always walking with attachments around us, sometimes one to even five attachments around us. It happens to me when I was not in protecting. It happens to all the healing clients that I do, even with my own family. I remember my mom one time came in and she was like acting different. And I was like, what is going on with you? She
Mm-hmm.
had three attachments. So I had to like clear her, heal her, and detach, and then put her in a bubble of protection. But lately, when I do my own protection, I've been protecting them. So that way, when I come to, I call this self-preservation, right? Because I'm going to be connected to them. So it doesn't come through that connection.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny because you mentioned about the attachments all around you. I don't think that people realize really how many souls, energies, entities, and beings are around us every minute, potentially of every single day. You
Yes.
know, it can happen at any moment. I was sitting here one night and I was typing on the computer. I was typing up one of my chapters, and I was so engrossed in writing, I don't even remember when the last time was that I put up protection. And all of a sudden I feel a cold, like a cold wisp of air along my left arm. I said, boy, that's kind of odd, but I just blew it off. I just blew it off, and I'm typing away on my chapter. And about an hour later, I started getting very dizzy, like almost like vertigo. And I would stand up and I would like stumble a little bit. I said, okay, this is not right. This is not normal. So I did my detachment. I went through my protocol, did the detachment, cast everything out, cleared everything out. But any time that you have like inflated anger, inflated frustration, anything like dizziness, anything like that that is not normal for you, certainly is a possibility that there is something in your energy field that does not belong there.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful advice. So we have Victor asking a question. What do you do when they affect physically objects at home, like electronics? So for me, I'm constantly clearing my house, right? Because the I do healings in here, and I'm also channeling information all the time when I'm recording my meditation. So I try to keep the house pretty clear. And every time that I'm going to do work, I do work on myself. And then in my home too, that I clear, I ground. I even ground my home. Yes, I ground my
Mm-hmm,
home. And
mm-hmm,
then I protect my home. But when it comes to electronics, I normally call Archangel Metatron to help me, like if there's any clearing that needs to happen with the electronics, if there is any interference through the electronics. And I also do social media clearing, healing, and protection because I'm doing my business in social media with Facebook and TikTok, Instagram. I constantly clearing, healing my personal page, my business page, because you can also have interference through your social media. Like Amy was saying, that happened to me on the phone or in social media. I pick up like this dark baggage, and I forget to clear my phone. So I always call in Metatron to help me with the electronics pieces, but I also always have Shone Guide. So I wear a Shone Guide and I don't remove it for nothing. I shower with it, I go to the top with it, I go to the ocean with it, I sleep with it. The only time I take the sun guy is when she tells me I need a break and I put it in a cell and I play just for clearing. And that happens like once a month. And next to my computer, I always have a Shanghai pyramid too. So there's a few things that you can do to protect physically and also energetically. So you mentioned your protocol. Do you want to talk a little bit more about your protocol?
We can, sure. Um, I'm a Dragon Protocol practitioner. What it is, as a medium, mediums have dragon guides. I have 3 dragon guides. Uh, my main dragon has been with me my entire life, almost like my guardian angel. Um, in one of my past lives, one of my mother in ancient China was a Dragon Protocol practitioner. And what it is, I have I utilize my dragon guides to remove attachments, remove entities that have attached to your energy field. I have various different kinds of crystals that I use on very specific points on the body, um, along with various specific music. There are, I want to say, 6 or 7 mantras, spiritual musics that I use in conjunction with the crystals in the specific placements on the body. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes. But my dragon guides remove these energies and these entities, toxic emotions, anything really. It's anything that can grip you and keep you in the throes of anger and frustration, various different toxic emotions. But it also works for um, entities and spirits that will and that can attach. So I have used it on myself. I have used it on my husband. I have done it remotely for other people that have needed it. And it works very well. And I can tell you for myself, because I deal with earthbound souls, um, some with healing, more have been cast out than have been healed, but I have healed and crossed some. Um, and they have said to me when I've communicated with them after I've removed them, if they've attached to me and I've removed them through my protocol, I have asked them what has happened, what happens to you when you're removed in this way. And honestly, what they have said to me is very painful for them. What my dragons actually do, my dragons rip them. They've said this. They rip me out of your energy field. They've torn me away from you. And it's painful then for them to do that. So, um, you know, what happens when and there are 2 things that can happen. If I'm working with this soul and for instance, last year was like a big ancestral healing year for some of these souls. I had one gentleman that was with me for 3 months. And in the very beginning, he attached because they want to experience life again as well. So that's one way for them to do this. And he attached to me. I know that he attached to me. I went through my protocol. What normally happens is that the dragons will take them back to source and they're automatically transmuted back to love and light. This gentleman was not taken back to source because I was working with him and I was healing, working with him. So he was allowed to remain with me to work through that healing. And after about 3 months, he did finally cross over. It was a very tragic story, a very tragic story, but certainly way too much to get in here. But it was a very tragic story for this gentleman. And before he crossed over, he came to me in a vision. And he, no words were said. He didn't exchange any words, but he wanted me to see him. Just before he crossed over, he communicated to me. He wanted me to see him, to see who he was as a person, the way he was in life, before he crossed over. So that was actually very touching. But he was with me for 3 months before he finally did fully heal and cross over. But his story was, it was a story of dare I say, he had murdered several people. And this happens. Ancestral healing for him went back. He was in the 1800s, and it went back to the mid 1600s. I think there was like 4 different ancestors, 4 different generations that I worked with him healing back the ancestral line. And it wasn't just him that crossed over, they all crossed over. So that was very interesting, a little intense, but the protocol he did not again for the entire 3 months he was with me. After that one time that he attached, never again did he attach. But that protocol was it's pretty intense for them. So it works very well.
Good.
Yeah.
Really good. I feel when you were sharing about he came so you can see his true self when he was here in Earth, and not the self of being so long here in Earth, right? Because I feel you will deteriorate, right? You don't look as you used to look. So that touched me. Like I felt that in my heart. Like that was beautiful.
Yeah.
And the work that you do is just amazed me. It always has amazed me that you do this and how much this is needed. So I'm grateful that you do this work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
It
you.
is.
It's very touching. It's very touching for me. With some of these souls, I don't get, honestly, Carol, I don't get too many children, but the children that I do get, they don't need to be here. Some of these souls just do not need to be here. They need to go home. They need to go home.
I agree. Okay, Tami. Anything else that you would like to share to our audience before we close?
I don't think so, unless they have questions.
I haven't seen any other questions. I think we have answered the questions. But
Okay.
if you're watching this in the replay and you make it all the way up to here, please tag me or Tami and ask questions. Like I said, this topic is coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place so you are aware and you start using discernment that trust your intuition.
Well, see, Carol, I think, and I know I've said this in my chapters too. It's a lot of people like to believe that spirituality as just love and light, but we live in a world of polarity. So there are always opposites. So on one hand, yes, we have the love and light, but on the other hand, we also have, the shadows and the darkness. They are just as present as the love and light. And, everyone just needs to be aware that there is this duality, that we live in this duality 24/7, and that there are possibilities out there. It's not all love and light, and you just need to be aware.
Yep.
It's just the awareness.
And please do not be in fear, because that gives them food for what they're looking for. It is
That's
more
their
about
sustenance. That's their
yes.
sustenance. Yeah.
It's all about clear, ground, and protect. If you don't know how to do this, please reach out. Tami and I are more than willing and welcome to tell you that this is how you clear, this is how you ground, and this is how you protect. We share some of our own technique and what we use for our own. If you need help with attachments, please, please, please reach out. We are more willing to help, and I'm pretty sure Tami will use her protocol with you.
My dragons are always ready to go, Carol.
Mine too. I had a white dragon earlier. It was really fascinating, and I felt honored that I had a white dragon because
Mhm.
it symbolized purity and source energy. So, so Victor had mentioned I have been facing spiritual war attacks and why this happens. So, attacks and let's call it word um, happens because they have want to dim your light. Um, we are more susceptible light workers as they are doing the work to be psychic attack.
Mhm.
And this attack can happen from a human perspective because the human, some of our friends, family does not want us to be doing this, does not want us to be successful. So just know that it can come from a human perspective, but it can also be from a soul and a being perspective. And it's just because they want to dim your light. So my recommendation with you, it's heal the reason why you are being psychic attacked because there is something underneath in there to explore. Um, and stand in your power. Stand in your power. Stand that. Know that because you have the vessel, you are more powerful than them. I'm not saying that there is souls and beings that they are not powerful. This is not what I'm saying, right? What I'm saying is that you are truly powerful and you have your free will and the right to do not have foreign energy attachments in your energy field. But you need to heal the reason why they were able to attack. You need to heal the reason why they're able to attack you. I hope that helps.
Well, and some of that too may just be fear-based. They can pick up on your fear, so they're going to try to exacerbate it because that's feeding them.
Yep. And we have fears. We all do. I remember the first time I did fear and healing, I was hyperventilating during the healing because real fear feels real in earth. But knowing that you're not alone, that you can bring love to it, and even that it feels so real, at the end of the day, it's an illusion.
I always call in my team. I always call in my team.
Me too.
Yeah, they always have your back. So, a lot of people at times, they tend to think that they're alone. And honestly, we are never alone. We always have our teams that are, we just have to ask. There is this law of free will, and they cannot help you. They cannot intervene unless you give them permission and you ask. So that's certainly keep that in mind. Ask and if you have fear and stuff coming around too, we always have Archangel Michael.
And you can just hand it over.
Yeah.
But when you call your team, if you do not know your team, please set the intention for the highest vibration
Yeah.
of
Yeah. I always say my team of the highest light and resonance.
yep, of the highest light and resonance of the highest vibration, or that it is pure source love.
And it's always ask for your highest and greatest good.
Yes, always, always, always for your highest good. And now that we're talking about the highest good, sometimes the challenge and the opportunities are for your highest good. So don't dismiss when you have a challenge, when you have a something not going right according to you. There is always a lesson, there's always a growth from it. When you separate yourself and look at the situation as an opportunity to learn and an opportunity to grow.
Yeah. Always ask yourself, what is it that I'm supposed to learn from this? And you'll find once you realize what that lesson is and you learn that lesson, it's done. It's done. It's released.
Yep. And then next opportunity to learn.
Yes, healing and growing never ends. So
But we don't want to discourage you to
no,
start
no,
healing journey. Please
no,
start your
no.
journey. Okay. It was really good to have you, Tami. Thank
Oh,
you
thank you,
to
Carol.
bring your
Thank you so much.
experience, your knowledge, and bringing your light and your gift to this world that we needed so much. I am so
Thank you.
grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone that was here live. Amy and Victor, thank you so much. If you are in the replay, to make it all the way up to here, thank you, thank you, thank you. Sending much love. Until next time.